fights that I don't want to see in 2025, we don't want them. All right. Well, I can't speak for everybody, but I believe that the matchups that I'm going to discuss in this video, a lot of them are likely matchups. And these are the sort of matchups that the UFC would make, maybe because, oh, this guy's got star power, so we got to give him a title shot or whatever. But I'm going to protest these potential matchups, and I'm going to say I don't want these. All right. I want this as an alternative, and I'll explain why. But we may as well just get into it. This is the first fight that I don't want to see in 2025, and that's Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira 2. Now, if Oliveira goes on a crazy win streak and gets a couple more wins, all right, and it's undeniable that he deserves a title shot, it doesn't matter who's a champion, of course, give him a shot. All right, Oliveira's on a one-fight win streak. It's not really even a streak. All right, I know he's a big name. I know everyone loves Oliveira. I love Oliveira. I'm a big fan of Oliveira. But him beating Michael Chandler, patient Chandler, who basically put his back up against the fence, does not indicate to me that he's going to do that much better against Makhachev or that much better against Arman Tsarukyan, who's old. I mean, if Arman's holding the belt, that's another rematch I don't want to see either. At least not soon, okay? Chandler fought horribly. The way people beat Oliveira, Makhachev, Arman, is they put pressure on him. Right? They walk him down. They shoot takedowns. Chandler backed up the whole time. And it's Michael washed up Chandler. So right off the bat, I don't want to see this fight because I don't think it's going to be that competitive. Yeah, he has a chance, maybe a 20% chance, but I don't see this Oliveira 3.0. But number 2, Islam Makhachev is coming up on his 4th title defense. If he beats Arman Tsarukyan in his next fight, that'll be the record for the most title defenses ever at lightweight, 4, which would be 5 title wins in total. And at that point, he would have an opportunity to move up a weight class. All right, as the record holder, most title defenses, what are you going to say? Defend your belt. Defend your belt, man. At that point, you can't really say that. All right, it's lightweight. All right, you keep defending your belt at lightweight? We got to see him fight Charles again. No, we don't, man. At that point, let the man move up and go for GOAT status while he's in his prime before it's too late. I mean, listen, the other point that I want to make is this is going to be the 300th rematch. We've seen the Volk rematch. We're about to see an Arman Tsarukyan rematch, but at least that fight still feels fresh because they fought way back in the day when both guys were in the beginning of their career, and now they're different fighters. There's been a lot of time in between the first fight and the second fight, which is probably going to be in January. I'm going to give a prediction for that fight soon when the UFC actually announces it. But either way, this does not feel like a fresh matchup. I know that they were supposed to fight last year and they canceled it, but every time they book a fight and we have a whole buildup, it kind of feels like it happened. All right? Again, I don't think it's going to be that much different. Charles Oliveira always struggles with the brothers. We kind of just know that. Michael Chandler did not fight like Islam Makhachev or Arman Tsarukyan. Oliveira is only coming off of 1 win. I know we got the Dariush win. I get that. But we really have to build some of these contenders, especially the guys that have had title fights before, and Oliveira's had a lot of them. So I don't want to see this fight after the Arman Tsarukyan fight if Makhachev wins. If Makhachev loses, we'll probably see the rematch with Arman. If he loses that, maybe if Oliveira gets another win, we give him a title shot. Or if Makhachev wants to stick around and Oliveira gets another couple of wins, we give him a title shot. But I just don't want to see him get one in his next fight, right? I know there's some people that don't like the narrative of Oliveira and Max Holloway. Some people I've heard really don't like that. When they're talking about people getting hyped for Holloway and Oliveira too, they're saying, dude, stop, man, stop. No one wants Oliveira to fight anyone other than Islam Makhachev. And it's like, bro, come on, man. The Max Holloway fight is actually interesting. That's a really fascinating matchup. I know that's a rematch, but come on, the first fight was a fluke. That's actually a better fight for Oliveira. That's actually a huge legacy fight for him as well, and it's a pretty winnable matchup. So, I think that the Max Holloway fight would be a better fight for him. And for Islam Makhachev, if he beats Arman, which is a big if, then I'd like to see him move up. But let's get on to the next one. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill or Yuri Prochazka. Jamal Hill fighting him again would be a rematch. Yuri Prochazka, a trilogy. I know Alex Pereira saying, hey, man, whoever wins this fight, man, is going to get another crack at the belt. You guys are going to have a chance, man. It's like, dude, it's Magomed or nothing else. And let's not let this turn into the Gaethje, Chandler, and Poirier sphere where it's 3 guys fighting each other and that's it. It's Alex Pereira, Hill, and Prochazka division, and that's it. Like, I know that there's some great back and forths going on these days, and Jamal Hill is talking a lot, and Yuri Prochazka's starting to pipe up as well, and Alex Pereira, he loves these matchups because they're all strikers. At a certain point, we're done with the Roundtrees, we're done with the Hills, and we're done with the Prochazkas. All right, I don't want to group Roundtree into this just because, you know, he's not really in the picture right now, and he had such an amazing performance last time. I actually wouldn't mind seeing the rematch, but we need to see the Magomeds first. All right, we got to see the Azamat Murzakanov brothers first. Okay, we got to see some of these, even though Azamat's a striker, fresh matchups, but first Magomed. All right, and after that, let's just move him up to heavyweight because Alex Pereira's not a spring chicken. This guy's like 38 years old at this point. All right, one more fight against Magomed, move up and try to go for, you know, GOAT status of the whole sport. But if he goes out there and he beats Jamal Hill or Yuri Prochazka, especially Yuri Prochazka, you know, because I'm saying especially Yuri as if like he didn't, because the point that I'm making with Yuri is that, dude, that doesn't prove anything else. Like, that literally does nothing for his legacy if he beats this guy again. And don't even start with Volk beating Max 3 times. It's not the same. It's not the same, okay? Don't even start. Hey, oh, you're saying beating him 3 times? What about Volk and Max? What about Volk and Max? It's not the same, man. You know it's not the same. Max Holloway is always a tough opponent. He's always a tough opponent. Yuri Prochazka, he's just never going to beat Alex Pereira, bro. Ah, shit. I really shot myself in the foot with that one. But you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to fumble and bumble around my words right now because, you know, I got myself into that one. But either way, all right, it proves nothing. Woo! All right, actually, you know, we're really gonna. I'm stumped right now because how are we gonna basically defend Volk's legacy? Holloway's a much tougher opponent, man. When there's competition involved, oh, you know what? There's competition involved, and you know, Yuri Prochazka, in order to be Max in the trilogy, would have to go on like a crazy run. He'd have to get a 3-fight win streak. So let's see if he can do that, and then we'll talk. And let's see if we can go back in time with the time machine and make some of those other rounds competitive and have a little bit more intrigue added. But we won't. That's the difference. Either way, all right? It proves nothing for this guy to beat Yuri again. For him to beat Jamal, Jamal Hill is honestly starting to get us to buy into the whole, that was a cheat moment, because some people, they've heard it so many times, it's starting to sound like a broken record. I mean, of course it sounds like a broken record, but sometimes that broken record will convince you. Sometimes that broken record will convince you and say, wait a second, I've heard it so many times, that's the only thing that I can think of these days. Maybe he's right. Maybe he did get caught off guard, even though he threw the first punch. Absolutely did not get caught off guard. But he needs to fight Magomed. I want to see Alex Pereira call for Magomed Ankalaev. Now, don't get me wrong, Pereira, I mean, you can't really blame him for just wanting to keep fighting striker after striker after striker after striker. You know, and just continue to up the highlights and get these big wins and the big paydays and whatnot. But even though it's a little bit harder to get that win money against Magomed, if he calls out Magomed Ankalaev, that's a really ballsy call out, even though he should just be booked to fight him already. But my point is, if he shows people that he wants that fight, that he's confident about it, then, you know, I think that's going to really hype people up. But yeah, I don't want to see him fight Hill or Prochazka next. Definitely not the fight after his fight with Magomed, if the Magomed fight happens either. I don't want to see him fight them after. All right? These guys are going to have to get a lot of wins to fight Alex again if they want to. All right, unless Magomed's the champ, and we see a rematch between Magomed and Pereira loses the rematch, then okay, give Jamal Hill and Prochazka a title shot, but it's not about title shots. It's just I don't want to see them fight Alex anytime soon. So let's get on to the next one. Apparently, there are some talks that Leon Edwards and Jorge Masvidal are going to fight, and that's a great fight. That's an amazing one. We all wanted to see that back in 2019. They tried to book it in 2021. And we're finally going to see it. I can't wait for this one. This is going to be a banger matchup. Jorge Mad Dog versus Leon Edward. This is going to be a really good fight. Leon Edward versus Jorge Mad Dog. 2 great strikers. Listen, let's cut the BS. Leon Edwards should not be fighting anyone that's 2 years out of the cage and washed up. All right? It's not that Jorge took 2 years off like Chandler. and he's going to come back washed up. No, he literally told us himself he felt like that quarterback that can't throw a football anymore in his retirement speech, all right? He was totally washed against Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns outstruck him easily. I know Gilbert Burns has good striking, but Jorge looked lost. He's been out of the cage for 2 years. We know Jorge Masvidal is not a serious contender. And I just know if the UFC makes this fight, which they might, because there's a storyline of Jorge Masvidal punching Leon Edwards backstage at UFC London after he knocked out Darren Till. And, it's a big striking match. Who wouldn't want to see this? You cannot confuse me. You can't trick me. You can't trick me into being hyped for this shit. But you could just see the UFC, a striker's delight. Jorge Mad Dog versus Leon Edwards. 2 of the baddest strikers in welterweight. Stop, okay? This is not a super serious high-level matchup. It's a one-sided fight. Knowing Leon Edwards, it might even be boring. It'd be like a Nate Diaz fight. Everyone expected him to run through Nate Diaz and, 50-42 him. And he damn near 50-45'd him, except he lost the last round. It was actually 49-46, but my point is, he did just enough to win every round. Sure, he outclassed him, but in Leon Edwards fashion, that's just by landing 3 extra strikes per round or whatever. You're outlanding him by a hair. So Leon might even make this boring. No, we need Leon to fight good contenders like Jack Della Maddalena, the loser of Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Joaquin Buckley. We need Leon Edwards to fight someone that's in their prime. It would be a disgrace for a former multiple title defending champion to fight a guy that's washed up in one fight after the fucking title fight, all right? That'd be pathetic. We don't want to see it. But the UFC might make it on a big fight night. And just knowing how much the UFC loves having a UK champion, they would just give him a title fight right after, right? Someone pulls out, someone's not ready. Oh, no, we're going to give Leon Edwards the title fight after beating Jorge Masvidal. I don't want to see it. On to the next one. Justin Gaethje versus the Old Guard. We've got the Old Guard being represented by Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. Maybe we can even throw in Max Holloway into the mix. They would never book that rematch, so that's not even realistic. But I could see them doing Gaethje versus Poirier 3. I could see them doing Gaethje versus Michael Chandler 2. I don't want to see it, man. I know that I was advocating for Poirier and Max Holloway, but to be fair, a lot of time has passed. All right, and the second fight was a little bit weird because Holloway was skinny fat and he hadn't had that much time to prepare for it, even though people act like he only had 2 weeks, but he had 6. So it's not like it was a super short notice fight, but it was kind of short notice. Not really, though. I actually don't like that narrative that it was a super short notice fight, but Max was just skinny fat. He wasn't actually in serious lightweight shape. And sometimes lighter man skill is not enough. Sometimes you need a little bit of bulk combined with lighter man skill. Serious training camp combined with lighter man skill, Max Holloway probably wins that fight. I want to find out for real, though. But Gaethje versus Poirier, sure, it's going to be a fun fight. I get it. I understand it. But let's see Gaethje. And it's not just because I want to throw Gaethje to the wolves, but let's see him fight a Beneil Dariush. Let's see him fight a Paddy Pimblett. Because Gaethje versus Pimblett, maybe not now, but definitely before Pimblett's last fight, people would say, oh, he'd get slaughtered. That is Pimblett. Pimblett would get slaughtered. He doesn't want to smoke with Justin Gaethje. But now, I know that Gaethje is coming off of a KO loss. What's his chin like? And his grappling is severely weak, right? But of course, he could outstrike Paddy. That could be interesting. But Beneil Dariush, another guy, he's also coming off of a couple of KO losses. What's his chin looking like these days? Gaethje could easily knock him out. Probably would if it was a striking battle. But what if Beneil Dariush takes him down? It's it's a tough matchup for Beneil, but it's kind of a layup if he just gets one takedown. You know what I mean? And when's the last time Justin Gaethje has had to prove that he's actually gotten a little bit better with his submission game? Or his submission defense. Even if Gaethje's ground game is lacking, no one really thinks he needs to improve on a submission game, but submission defense. Or if you really want to give him a striking matchup, give him Yair Rodriguez. All right? I just really want to see Yair in a striking battle. I'm done with Yair fighting the grapplers. I'm done with Yair fighting the well-rounded lighter man skill featherweights. Now, he's got lighter man skill too, but let's actually see Yair striking in a striking division. I know that not everyone at lightweight is a striker, but like we have some of the most marquee striking matches ever. And if you want to give Yair Poirier, give him Poirier. You want to give him Gaethje, give him Gaethje. I know that the UFC won't do it though, because Yair's not a big enough name, even though you just know Yair versus Gaethje, Yair versus Poirier, even though it doesn't make sense, who gives a shit if it makes sense or not? It's a sick fight. It would be amazing. Even though it doesn't make sense, it would be amazing. All right, and I want to see Yair in a striking-only battle, but that's what I'm saying. I don't want to see Gaethje fight Chandler again. I don't want to see Gaethje fight Poirier again. All right? The amount of times that these guys have fought each other is just insane. All right? I've seen these guys, I've seen their faces on the same billboard far too many times. Okay? Far too many times. Let's get on to the next one. Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley 2 before Yan fights for the title. Now, this is one of those where I actually wouldn't mind seeing this fight again. It was an amazing fight. A 5-round rematch would be even better, and there's a bit of a storyline where, oh, if this went 5, Yan would have whooped him. So let's actually find out for real, right? But the reason why I don't want to see it next, okay, is because you just know, look at this photo right here, you just know there's a great chance that if Yan actually wins that, like he did the first time, even though it was close, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't close, but if Yan actually deserves to get his hand raised, can you take another Yan robbery? I can't. I've seen too many, even though I've only seen one, right? I kind of count the Aldo 1 fight as a bit of a robbery, but he robbed himself. The Aldo 2 fight, even though that wasn't a robbery, it kind of just feels like one. What I'm saying is I can't take another Yan disappointment to the judges, all right? I can't take another. And you just know the UFC would love any chance they get to give O'Malley a win if it's close. And I want to see Yan get that belt back, man. As much as this fight would be awesome, and I actually think Yan has a good chance to win in a 5-rounder, I think the MMA gods would be too cruel to give him that win. And you may say, well, Lucas, I mean, we either get a good fight with O'Malley or we get to see him get his ass kicked against Merab or Umar, because those are nightmare matchups. And I agree, they are nightmare matchups, but imagine if he becomes a champion again. Imagine if he gets that belt back. Imagine if he beats Merab, who in my opinion has the best bantamweight legacy of all time. He just does. There's really no argument against it. He just does. Imagine if he beats Merab. He's the bantamweight GOAT. Imagine if he beats Umar, if Umar beats Merab. Bantamweight GOAT. Umar would finally get a big legacy win, even though he already has Sandhagen. That would be a second, to be fair. But yeah, I want to see Yan, a healthy Petr Yan, go into a Merab fight, because I actually think he would do a lot better. I don't think he'd beat Merab. I don't think he'd beat Umar, but I think he'd do better. I don't want to see him in a close decision fight with O'Malley where he could potentially get fucked over if it's close, which it probably would be. But yeah, on to the next one. I want to see Yan fight for the belt next. Jose Aldo versus Dominick Cruz. I don't want to see this for Dominick Cruz's sake. All right, his sake. I don't want to see it because of the 100% chance that Dominick Cruz cannot win this fight via finish. And if Dominick Cruz cannot win this fight via a finish, he can't submit Jose Aldo. I mean, good luck taking him down, let alone submitting him. Dominick Cruz's legendary submission game, I don't know about that. And Dominick Cruz's power. I know Aldo's been finished a couple of times, but Dominick Cruz, he's got pillow punches, all right? He's got the peppermint punches. He would 100% get finished by Jose Aldo. I know that there's a legacy-defining moment. I understand it's a big legacy matchup, 2 GOATs. But, like, come on, dude. Let's give Jose Aldo someone else. Let's do Aldo versus, like, one of the gritty, crafty vets. One of the durable vets. Or Aldo versus Sandhagen. Right? Although I want to see Sandhagen versus O'Malley, and I'd like to see Sandhagen versus Figueiredo. Do Aldo versus Sandhagen. That's a great fight. Sandhagen's not taking him down, and he'd be forced to strike with him. It'd be a good striking battle. But I just know Dominick Cruz has no chance to win this. And why would we want to see Dominick Cruz's last fight? Because he is talking about coming back in 2025. What would get you excited about a Dominick Cruz fight when you just know that he's going to get finished and he's going to get beat? He has no chance to win this. I mean, when I say no chance, I understand he's Cruz. He's the dominator. He can slip, dip, and rip. But come on, man. Aldo's fast. He'd probably get chinned. I want to see Cruz in a fight that he can actually win, all right? Or against someone that's not that dangerous. Maybe even a Garbrandt 2 matchup. That'd be fun. Maybe give him the chance to get that one back. Next up, we have Anthony Hernandez versus anyone outside the top 8 at 185. I'm tired of Anthony Hernandez fighting the Pifers. I know he hasn't fought Pifer, but fighting the Kopilovs, the Pereiras, the Pifers, because these are all extremely tough matchups. These are like the best unranked fighters on earth. And 85 right now, 185 might be the best division. It might be the deepest division, especially when it comes to unranked fighters. There's a ton of amazing unranked fighters. All right, and now he's just got ranked in the top 15. What are we going to make this guy fight? Hermanson? We're going to see him fight Pifer. We're going to see him fight Vittori. It's like Anthony Hernandez has been dominating people so well that he deserves a chance at someone that's like a Jared Cannonier, all right? Or maybe an Imavov, all right? I know they're probably going to do the Imavov versus Adesanya fight, but I want to see him fight someone that's very close to the top 5, that puts him in a position to fight for a number 1 contenders fight, that puts him in a position to fight a guy like Robert Whittaker or a guy like Sean Strickland. Because, you know, what's this guy going to have to beat? 10 amazing unranked fighters and then 10 amazing ranked fighters to get a belt? He would have crazy legacy without even being a champion. So, yeah, I mean, we got to see him fight someone that's actually close to the top 5. All right. And last, I don't want to see MVP or Wonderboy. And you may as well just throw Yair Rodriguez in the mix as well. I don't want to see these guys fight any grapplers. All right. You only have Wonderboy for maybe one more fight. MVP is old too. You only got him for a couple more fights. And he's had the test. He's had, I mean, not really though, because he's not really fought any grapplers, right? I mean, Ian Gary can grapple, but we were thinking that would have been a fun striking battle. But don't give him anyone that has a plan to be a champion that's actually well-rounded, all right? Give him a fun striking battle. And not a JDM either. I don't want to see MVP fight JDM and have like a Kevin Holland 2.0 fight where it's a little bit lackluster. I want MVP and Wonderboy to fight each other. And if that's not realistic, then fuck it. Move MVP up to 185 and have him fight Sean Strickland. Okay? Lighter man skill. Let's see how he does. Let's have him fight a high output striker that has an ego and won't shoot a takedown ever. Right? Remember Khalil Roundtree going into the Pereira fight? Never shot a single takedown. I want MVP and Wonderboy to fight people like that. Because we're only going to see them fight a couple more times. Wonderboy maybe only one more time. And we may as well see them show out and show us their best skill set and not get held down by a smudge grappler. Okay? So, yeah. Let's see these guys in a stand-up battle. Again, Strickland. I don't want to see Whittaker get chinned right now, but Strickland, maybe the rematch, Whittaker and Wonderboy, but you just know Whittaker probably takes him down, right? Whittaker's one of those 85ers that could cancel out the lighter man skill because he's actually truly elite. Only the truly elite fighters can sometimes cancel it out a bit. Not on the feet, though, but in the grappling. But, yeah, let's see MVP versus a Carlos Prates, right? Or a Wonderboy versus a Prates, although he'd probably get chinned. But you know what I'm saying. Let's see one of those. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what fights you don't want to see in 2025. Until next time.